Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships on this Friday edition video, where we are going to be discussing the Tier 8 destroyer, European destroyer, the Öland. So, we're here on Land of Fire in Standard Battle, starting off on the left flank. So, I'm going to go ahead and read some of what the WoW's Wiki has to say about this destroyer. A destroyer built on the basis of the experience gained during World War II. The ship's powerful AA defenses were provided by semi-automatic dual-purpose main battery mounts and a large number of automatic AA guns. Performance. Öland is the Tier 8 tech tree ship of the Pan-European destroyer branch and offers only a few improvements over her Tier 7 sister, the Skam. Out of the box, Öland seems like an underarmed ship. Her main battery count is the lowest of any Tier 8 destroyer, on par with the Ognavoy, and 6 torpedo tubes in total makes her the undisputed lowest in that regard. However, Öland has the means to make up for the deficient numbers. For one, her main battery offers a high rate of fire, with each gun firing 24 rounds per minute before upgrades are being considered. This gives Öland a competitive DPM compared to her peers. What remains lackluster, however, is the low main battery range, although this could be compensated for using the captain's skill, the main battery and AA expert. So you have a range of 10.8, and then if you take the main battery and AA experts, you'll get up to 12.09. The torpedo armament is not only the lowest in tube count, but also the lowest in alpha strike, with every torpedo hitting for just a little over 10,000 damage. This rules out the usage of these in the hopes of devastating larger targets, unless a lucky magazine detonation saves the day. Spoiler alert. What the torpedoes lack in hitting power, they do make up for in speed and in range. A long range of 12 km and 76 knot speed stock make these very comfortable to use, although the torpedo reload in comparison to the torpedo count is rather long. In regards to her survivability, Öland has many hurdles to overcome. Her hit pool is the lowest of any Tier 8 destroyer, and what makes matters very complicated is the lack of the smoke generator consumable, making every single mistake very costly. Sorry, there's a typo in there. Thankfully, Öland comes equipped with the repair party consumable to restore some lost hit points, but this tool cannot help Öland when caught out in an unfortunate location. So you have to be very mindful of positioning with Öland. High continuous AA values, a moderate amount of flak, as well as access to defensive AA fire consumable with no trade-offs mean that Öland can be a costly target to strike for an aircraft carrier. But of course, the exception being the Tier 10 carriers, as they will be able to overcome Öland defenses and hit her hard, which given her low hit pool will make every bomb, rocket, or torpedo hit a painful loss. Her continuous AA values, a moderate amount of flak. Oh, I just read that. Öland's playstyle depends a lot on opportunities and team support. She can engage destroyers, but it can cost her dearly, and going anywhere without an exit route is an invitation for the enemy to send Öland back to port. Capture points can be contested, but the lack of smoke should be compensated by always keeping the situation in check and disengaging as soon as the situation goes out of control. So I'll link this article in the YouTube description for you if you want to read a little bit more about the pros and cons of the ship and the optimal configuration they have listed there. So, but we're going to roll more into my thoughts and opinions on the Öland, as I believe we just landed a torp on one of the battleships back there. I think it's the Gigantus now, if memory serves correctly. Could be completely wrong. Yeah, I'm looking at the team lineup. Enemy team. Yeah, they have one. I think we got one. So, in my experience with the Öland, it's taken me some time to figure her out, to play her optimally. I mean, here you can see I am I am alone per se on the 1 line, but we have some teammates over on the 3-4 line. So this flank is definitely light, and you may have caught my humorous joke earlier in chat on that. So we have to play a little bit more passively, play a little bit more towards the back, as we're about to lose our friend there in the battleship who's spamming for a fire support, and he does have fighters dropped on him, but you know, that doesn't really matter with aircraft carriers in World of Warships. And there he goes. So now it's just me and the other ship on this flank, which I'm not able to tell off the recording screen for some reason. But we're going to play passively. I think these torpedoes do have a decent reload time, and my goal is to try to buff the reload time with the commander skills that we'll go over tomorrow, so that we get a little bit more use out of them. Because, like the article says, these torpedoes, they don't hit very hard at all. They do have really low damage per torpedo hit, but they kind of make up for it with speed and the long range. So this first half of this battle is honestly, it's going to be pretty slow. It'll pick up more in the latter half. But again, you see I'm playing this passive role. I'm just kind of sitting here. I want to slow down the enemy ships that are going to be pushing up this flank. We're in a position here where we can start getting some torpedoes off. And this is something you have to be mindful of, that I wasn't paying attention.
Engine boost deactivated.
So our friendly carrier is coming over, and he's going to drop torps on this enemy New Orleans. So you have to be mindful of where your friendly aircraft carrier is planning, who he's planning to strike, because that can that will affect your torpedoes. So we would have actually hit the New Orleans, but he turned in to avoid those torpedoes. So we're not going to get any hits, but we are going to throw some HE over the island, and we did get 2 fires set there. Now this is a double CV match, so it's actually, to me, kind of nice to be in the Öland for this battle. They have the Lexington, and they also have the Ryujo. That's the tier 6 one. And so we're trying to get a little bit more towards our cap, because the enemy team's moving more that way, so I am working this flank position, and you're going to kind of see how that will work out here shortly. But there is a Kagero around, and there's another destroyer on this flank besides me, so I need to be able to kind of be a presence there. So if he does push in towards the cap, that I can defend the cap and support my team. So that is why we're moving more in this general direction. But you did see in the beginning of the battle, we got to use some defensive AA consumable, and I like to try to bait the carrier in, meaning that I have my AA off, I will wait until he gets close, and then I open up, like when he's about to detect me with AA off, because he can't just instantly disengage if he sees I have my defensive AA going. So that is one of the reasons of why, even when I'm in an AA destroyer like Öland or the Kid, I purposely have my AA off until the carrier gets close enough where I can really open up and inflict more major damage. So those torpedoes were all behind, unfortunately. So we're still moving towards our cap, because you can kind of see that the enemy ships, they're moving more towards the center of the cap than they are just continuing to move up this 2-3 line, except the Normandy, which we're going to deal with them later. And then we have this Mitsu. So this Mitsu, kind of been trying to keep an eye on him, but he doesn't really seem to be adjusting his speed, using his rudder shift. And because he's just sailing in a straight line, we're able to take advantage of that. So I haven't been detected on this flank for a little bit. So it's very easy as a player to forget about there being a destroyer on your flank until all of a sudden you see a bunch of torpedoes like this Mitsu is going to see. So that is something you have to be mindful of. Don't be distracted on targets that are even farther away. When you know there's a destroyer out on the flank, this is where map awareness really comes into play. And this Mitsu didn't have map awareness, and he didn't think we were going to dump torpedoes on him. But surprise, you didn't take a detonation flag. Too bad you don't get, detonation flags after be detonating, because those are expensive flags. So thank you, Wargaming, for removing combat signals as a reward for getting different achievements in the game. So I do want to deal with this Normandy. You can see me kind of looking back over my shoulder, but I'm wondering, where is the Kagero at? If I was a Kagero, I would be somewhere around our cap, or maybe even on our cap. So I asked in chat, hey, do we know where the CAG is? Well, the CAG instantly appears. If I would have been looking at the point intake, I would have noticed a brief stall on our points. and that would have told me where the Kagero was, but I wasn't looking at that because I didn't think he would be quite that close to our other teammate here in the cap. So we are going to utilize our engine boost. When you only have 2 turrets on the Öland, you really want to be able to have both of those on hard target, because if not, you're cutting your DPM in half. And we're going to have some trouble landing the last few salvos here. But we played with the speed, we used the engine boost, we slowed down, and then I'm going to kind of keep nosed in, just because I'm not sure if he got some death torpedoes off or not. So it seems the coast is clear, so we're going to turn back and deal with this Normandy. So all good. So again, one of the things I'll always say, what makes a destroyer player in World of Warships even better than the average player, average destroyer player, is having patience. The first half of this battle has been relatively slow in terms of damage. I mean, we only had 15,000 damage. But now it's starting to increase, right? We got the Mitsu, then we took out the Kagero, and now we're going to go deal with this Normandy. So a destroyer that's alive in the last half of the battle is much more influential than a destroyer player who doesn't have patience, is rushed in, playing too aggressive without team support, and dies. So just keep that in mind. I'll probably say that often, but just know that sometimes you just have to wait for the opportunities to come along. Now, I did debate about dumping torpedoes a little bit earlier along the side of this island, because I wasn't sure. I thought the Normandy would just keep pushing towards the cap, but he's chosen to disengage, and he's going to go behind this island, and he's keeping a pretty straight path. Now, this is where you can often catch battleship players out in terms of utilizing your torpedoes. So he thinks he's safe because he's about to go behind an island, which means he's likely not to mess with his speed or his rudder ships. So I'm going to drop these pretty much both on top of one another. If he does turn around the corner of the island, come towards the cap, he should still eat these torpedoes. And if he turns away, we might not land as many. But I just noticed a lot of battleship players, because they go behind the island, he's not spotted right now, he feels safe. And I'm going to take advantage of that in dumping torpedoes with him thinking he's safe. So he has turned in a little bit towards cap, but now he's turning back out. And these torpedoes, one of the things that's really great about them is they're so fast that you have little reaction time to be able to turn away to avoid them, just because of that speed. And I presume want to make the torpedoes even faster. But he is flooding, so I'm thinking we're going to get a flood kill here, but the repulse steps in and nabs the kill, so sad day. So now there's only 2 carriers left on the enemy team. You have the Lexington up on the 9 line, on the A line, and then the Ryujo. We don't know where the Ryujo's at. We do have a friendly in the Aoba who's moving up. And so I'm going to use the engine boost here in a minute. We're going to try to make as much distance as possible. So we're going to move up and try to connect up with him, because I imagine the Ryujo is somewhere, maybe he's on the BC line, 1-2 line in that area, because his planes are coming roughly from that direction. So we're going to move over there and see if we can't find out where he has gone. Other things about the Öland. The heel's nice. You can see I think we've utilized 1 so far. So it really does help because the Öland is probably, I mean, she's a good hybrid destroyer, but at the same time, she kind of leans more towards, I don't know. She's just, because she doesn't have these overwhelming torpedoes. Her DPM is really good, despite only having 2 turrets. The real load time is actually rather quick on them. So to me, I kind of like to think of her a little bit more as a hybrid destroyer that leans towards a gunboat destroyer. Since you have this heal, you can take some punishment and heal it back. And often you're kind of focusing on dealing with destroyers when you have the opportunity to, that you're not putting yourself in a bad position. because Öland going in against 2 enemy destroyers is usually not going to end very well. So because I know I have good AA, I'm not so worried about the Ryujo's planes per se, but I do want to support our Aoba here. So we're going to move over towards him to support him so we can utilize our pretty moderately good AA here at tier 8. So that means the Ryujo is going to have a really difficult time. So we saw where these planes are coming from. I'm always paying attention to the mini-map, trying to figure out where the carrier's going to be. So I think he's somewhere over on the 1 line. Maybe 1C, 1B. So we're going to keep moving up. And then it looks like our team is still wrapping up with the Lexington. Because we can see this Ryujo, he's focusing our Aoba. So he's spotted. So the first thing I'm actually going to do here in a moment is I'm going to launch torpedoes. And I'm going to do them right on the line. Because most carrier players, when they're using autopilot, they're not messing with their speed. What makes a carrier player even better is when they actually kind of come out of the autopilot and they adjust the speed. But this carrier is pretty screwed because we just killed their Lexington. So I'm going to continue using HE. You can see that really good reload time of the main battery. And then once we get a little bit more up on his side, we're going to switch to the armor piercing. And you see we got the HE Citadel there. We got the AA going with AA defense supporting our Aoba. And that's going to result in a kill. So I really like these end screens when it's finishing off killing a carrier player. So we got over 728,000 credits, 20,000 experience, 10,700 free XP with a devastating strike with that detonation we got on the Mitsu. 108,000 damage, 77 target hits, 7 torpedo hits, 12 planes, 3 destroyed, 2 set on fires, 3 caused floodings, and some Citadel ribbons in there even as well. So going to team score, we're going to top the team with over 1,900 base experience. So it was a really good battle. A couple teammates doing really good. So maybe this is a little bit more of a blowout match for the enemy, but also dealt with how our team positioned, and they did really well on their flank, even though the flank I was fighting on was light. And then the detailed report here, you can see a layout of the damage. So the Mitsu is going to take the cake with most damage done with that detonation. So I feel like less players are taking the Juliet Charlie combat signal, which completely removes the risk of detonating now. So I seem to notice more ships detonating these days. So again, thank you Wargaming for that. And then with premium count here, you can see credits and XP with the XP modifiers that we took as well. So that was, for me, it was a really fun battle, and I felt like I understood the playstyle of Öland even more in this battle. I have actually just started playing the Pan-Asian Tier 9 destroyer, the Chungmu, last night. Every battle was miserable. Every battle was complete washout. Enemy team, I call it raffle stomping, where only 1 or 2 of their ships would die, and our whole team would basically be dead. So that was a fun experience. So hoping to have a Chungmu replay video featuring it in 2 weeks. But next week, I plan to feature the Stalingrad. We've had some good battles in Stalingrad, got a good feel for her. So expect that to come. But no, tomorrow we'll be doing an upgrade in commander build on the Öland, and we'll even look at the unique commander. I don't actually know how to pronounce his name correctly, and this could be correctly, but I don't feel like it is. But I like saying Jerzy Schwarzki. But I have high doubts that is correct. So we'll take a look at that unique commander and see what additional bonuses he gives. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much for helping us pass over 700 subscribers as of this past Tuesday. So really cool and really thankful for that. So until next time, take care.